Hi guys, Russell here from Homebrew Republic. How you doing? How long will my homebrew last? How long before my homebrew goes off? How long will my homebrew beer last once I bottle it? Those are some of the most common questions we get asked, and we're going to tackle that today. If you have a look around online, the general consensus is the quality or the flavour characteristics of your brew will continue to improve up to the 2 to 3 month mark once bottled. If you've watched any of my other previous videos, you know that I frequently talk about the 8 to 10 week mark being like a really optimal time, or being the point at which a brew hits its optimal flavour. From there, the flavour qualities or the flavour characteristics will stabilise up until around about the 10 to 12 month mark, at which point the expectation is the flavour quality or the characteristics will start to diminish and will experience what you might describe as stale beer. Let's go down to the garage. I've got something to show you, and I'm going to put that to the test. Welcome to the garage, ladies and gentlemen. What we have here is a couple of cases of beer. Over the last more than 12 months, a lot of the time when I made a brew, I've kept a bottle aside for this exact purpose, to test how well / how long homebrew lasts once bottled. These two up the back, number 36, 37, they were fermented in October 2021, and we are now February 2023. So round figures, those are 15 to 18 months old. This guy here, near the middle, number 40, he was fermented in February 22, so we're now basically 12 months old. Interesting thing about him though was he was fermented using fresh ingredients, so I used nectarine and lime zest in him. There's probably a few others in here that are the same. So I've always been cautious about how long brews last with fresh ingredients used in fermentation, so he's going to be interesting to try. This guy up the front, 46, was one of my favourites from last year. It was a Juicy Session IPA. He was April last year, so we're around about 10 months old now. These guys here on the right, most of these will be from the back half of last year. So these are, round figures now, anywhere between, say, 3 to 4 and up to 8 months old. So what we've got is a good variety of ages, which are going to help us put to test how long brews last. So the only thing left to do is get some of these guys into the fridge and do some beer drinking, which is potentially the best bit of homebrew. Hey guys, welcome back to the couch. It's a hot day and we've got our first brew. Let's give it a taste test. So first of all, still looks amazing, right? What this one was the Mangrove Jack's Pale Ale. I bottled this one, interestingly, on a New Year's Day, but it's now 14 months old, so round figures 14 months. If we give it a smell, it's definitely a bit funny. So it's hard to describe. I don't want to call it off, but it's just aged. It's probably the best way to put it. It's not an offensive smell, but not amazingly attractive smell that you might be hoping for. I would classify that as drinkable, but I'm certainly not going to be writing home about it. And I think it's just lost the freshness, and it's lost the sharpness of its flavour and aroma characteristics. So if that is what stale means, stale beer. One of the other interesting things which I read about was, and it's probably a good thing to talk about, is stale doesn't mean off. So because this is aged, has it gone rotten? Is there now anything wrong with it? Will it make you sick from drinking it? The general consensus online was no. The aged beer has nothing wrong with it that's going to cause you ill effect. It's just not going to be enjoyable to drink. yeah, I won't finish that glass. So that's the first beer, 14 months old. Safe to say the flavour and aroma characteristics have fallen away. Drinkable, but not enjoyable. Let's check out the next brew. Here we are with brew number 2. This one here was a Pilsner Blonde, which is from the Black Rock range instead of the Mangrove Jacks range. As a side note, this brew and the last one were both made of dextrose, not liquid malt extract. And the other interesting thing about this one here, I dry hopped this as well. It was dry hopped with mochueka, and the interesting thing was this is a fruit beer. I use that term a little bit lightly, but I fermented this with fresh nectarine and lime zest as well. So this was one I was interested to try because the question I had was how well do the fresh fruit flavours hold up, or the fresh fruit tones, but also do they have any kind of negative impact? In particular, do they diminish or go off or anything like that? The first thing I find really interesting is in terms of the colour, the clearness is there and the carbonation is obviously still there, but I feel like colour for this has just gone a bit watery. I don't feel like it's kind of held what the original colour was. And again, similar to the last one, the aroma's there, it just lacks its kind of freshness and crispness. You can definitely still pick up the lime coming through, which is A, fresh, and B, from the mochueka. So I would very much put this in the camp of the last one. Drinkable, but I wouldn't go as far as to say enjoyable. Drink it if I have to. I don't think I mentioned before, this one's 13 months old since I bottled it. So safe to say the idea of stale beer is holding up. Let's get the next one. Back again, and as they say, we may just be third time lucky. This one here is 10.5 months old. So we're right on that point where the content online suggested we were good up to. So remember they said that flavour, well, the general consensus of content was that flavour and aroma characteristics would be good up till about 10 or 12 months before the brew started to go stale. So first of all, again, clarity, colour is still amazing, carbonation is still there, we still have a really nice head. This is the Mangrove Jacks Juicy Session IPA. I'm actually going to put a link up on the screen. I did review this beer last year and the review was really, really favourable. And straight away we can tell the difference. So for me, the aromas are as I remember them. They have fallen away, they're not as strong or as fresh or as definable, but they're definitely still there, those big juicy characteristics. It's good. And none of the, it still smells fresh, it doesn't kind of have that off tinge to it. Still good. Again, like I think at this point, the flavour characteristics are still there, but they've really, really fallen away. Like I remember this just being a really big, juicy, flavoursome brew. It's actually still okay. Like I said, you can tell that everything's starting to fall away, but it's still clean and it's still fresh. So that is starting to support, you know, up to 10 months is still good. I would still be happy to drink that, like, and enjoy it, and I would still go as far, if someone came round, to be happy offering someone a pint of that. The last two, no. Wouldn't be sharing that. That's like, I don't know, don't have anything else to drink kind of stock. Whereas this one, I'd still be pretty happy sharing. All right, let's try a couple of the newer beers that are well under 10 months. We'll go looking for a couple of brews around the 4 to 8 month mark and see what we get. Hey guys, welcome back to the couch. Got another hot day and I wanted to try the last couple of beers we've been talking about. This one here is an American Pale Ale. It's one that I did as a recipe kit. Pretty sure it was the first recipe that I actually posted. I'll put a link up on the screen. I bottled this in July last year and we're now March, so we're basically round figures, 9 months old, so just under that 10 mark point. Right, as we can see, it's held its colour really beautifully. That really sort of rich kind of amber caramel colour. Good aroma still. Not as strong as it was. From memory, this had about 100 grams of hops in it, so it's a pretty decent amount of hops. But we've still got the notes, kind of similar to that juicy. The notes are still there. Obviously not as strong or present, but very definable, particularly the citrus and the piney elements. That's really nice. That one, and so we're now under that 10-month mark, albeit just, excuse me, but that tastes really nice. Like from a quality perspective, that's better than the juicy was, and like I said with the juicy, more than happy to share that with my friends, and more than happy to drink it and enjoy it, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Alright guys, last brew. What we have here is the Mangrove Jack's Lucky Goat Pale Ale. And interesting comment on this before we go too far into it. I'm actually getting ready to brew this one again, and I was just had a couple of comments up in a couple of forums looking for a hop combination, and one of the comments came back was someone saying that they felt this was one of the best kits that Mangrove Jack's has produced. Don't know if I'd go as far as to say best, but certainly a very good kit from Mangrove Jack's. It's really enjoyable. Alright, so again, colour, awesome, carbonation, great. But it's awesome. I would almost say that's better than when I was drinking it at around 3 months. Really clean, fresh flavour and aroma profile, and great taste. Again, this is awesome. This one I bottled in October, so this is now 5 months, right? Most of my brew reviews on my other videos you see me do, I'm drinking those at 8 to 10 weeks, so that's 3 months since I did the brew review on it. That's it guys, let's close this video out. We started with a couple of questions. How long will my homebrew last? How long is my homebrew good for? How long until my homebrew goes off? The general guidance online was that the flavour and aroma characteristics of your beer will continue to improve up till around about 10 to 12 weeks or 3 months in the bottle. You'll remember most of my brew reviews I'm doing around that 8 to 10 week mark. And I certainly agree with that. I often refer to 8 weeks as being that really optimal point, or that 8 to 9 week mark. Once you've hit that 3 month mark, the flavour and aroma characteristics of your brew, according to the general consensus online, will remain constant or remain good up until around about the 10 to 12 month mark. And after that point, certainly after 12 months, we would expect the quality in terms of flavour and aroma of our brew to start to diminish. And what we then did is we tried some brews which had been saving up, some which were over 12 months old, some which were around that 10 month mark, and some which were nicely 3 to 5, 6 month mark. And based on my drinking experience of those brews, I would certainly agree with that general consensus online. Couple of things to note, and I guess I'm always one for critical analysis, so if you know me, you know that I brew using kits. Would the result be different if you were all grain brewing? Perhaps, don't know, you'll have to give that a go yourself. Equally, I only bottle. Would the result be different if you were kegging? Possibly, don't know, give it a go. What I would say though is that I bottle in glass crown top bottles. I would certainly expect the longevity of the beer to decrease if you're trying to use like a plastic PET bottle. Big advocate for the glass bottles. They hold carbonation better, they prevent oxidation, they're good. All that said guys, if you like this video, give us a big thumbs up, always helps us out. If you got any questions, got any comments, feel free to drop them below. I like talking about beer in particular, but beer or cider. Otherwise guys, hope you enjoyed it, hope it added some value, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!
Cheers!